In Chapter 9, Section 8, we're going to continue and really wrap up our discussion on factoring polynomials. And you'll notice this section really provides no new content in terms of factoring. It's just going to be looking at various examples that we've discussed throughout the chapter. And again, my suggestion for you would be to go through and try every single problem, try to factor them all and on your own, and then just use this video as kind of a backup plan to double check your work and again to reteach you some ideas maybe if you need it. Alright, so it says factor completely if you can. Alright, and so all I'm going to do is I'm first going to pull every greatest common factor. You got to keep telling yourself that greatest common factor. So I look at all of my coefficients. I have 8, 20, and 12. I can pull a 4 out of each one of those. Okay, so I know that I'm going to pull a 4 out in front. Okay, so a 4 is coming out in front. Then I look at my a's. I have a to the third, a squared. A squared's the smallest, so I bring that guy out. And then I look at the b's. I have b to the third, and b, so I'm going to bring out a b. And so now I go through, when I take a 4a squared b out of that term, I'm left with 2a, and then the b's are going to cancel. Plus, now I'm looking at this term. When I take a 4a squared b out of that, I have a 5a b squared. And finally, the last term, I'm looking at this guy. So when I factor 4a squared b out of that, I have 3, and then a squared b. Those are just going to stay. Okay, and so I look at the guys inside the parentheses, and I'm asking myself, can I factor that any more than it already is? And I'm pretty sure I cannot. So I'm pretty sure that's as far down as I can go. All right. We turn our attention to example 1, part B. Factor completely. First thing I'm going to do is pull out a common factor if possible. I notice these are both even numbers, so I know I can pull a 2 out in front right away, and I'm left with 25x squared minus 9. Then I look at the stuff inside of the parentheses, and hopefully you're getting better at recognizing, well, this is a perfect square, right, 5x, and this is a perfect square, the square root of that is 3, and since it's a difference, our shortcut now, the 2 stays out in front, and now when I factor this whole thing, our shortcut is 5x plus 3, 5x minus 3. Okay, and so that would be the factored form of 50x squared minus 18. And again, third example here on the page. I'm just going to go through these rather quickly as we move through. So the third example, I'm looking at this. Again, I see I can pull a 3 out of every term. So I pull a 3 out. I have x squared plus 6x plus 8. And now from there, these are fairly reasonable numbers to work with. So you could go, guess and check, which is what I'm going to do. And then if not, you could always go 8 times that is 8. Find 2 numbers that multiply to get 8, add to get 6. So really, we're going to be doing that anyway. So when I do this mentally, since this is x squared, I know I have x and x. And now I need 2 numbers that multiply to get 8 and add to get positive 6. So I go through the list. 1 and 8. Nope. 2 and 4. There it is. All right. 2 and 4, and since they're both plus signs, these are both going to be positives, and again, that would be the factored form here. The 3 is important to keep out in front. You can't just disregard that once you factor it out. You got to keep it along for the ride. Otherwise, you change the entire value of the expression. All right, and again, we're just plugging away here. So again, part D, I notice I can pull a 2 out, so I have x squared plus x minus 20. And then again, for me it's mental, but I'll do this one by grouping. So remember, this is negative 20. The guy out in front here is positive 1. So when I multiply those, I get negative 20. So the question is, I need 2 numbers that multiply to get negative 20 and add to get a positive 1x. Okay, so I think when you're talking 20 and you want to be 1 away, it's 5 and 4. So I know I'm working with 4 and 5 or 5 and 4. Which one's going to be the negative? Well, since I got to get a positive x, the 5 has to be the positive. Okay, so again, if you didn't know that, you could run through the whole list. 1, negative 20, negative 120, blah, 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 go through all of that. So long story short, we're going to use these 2 numbers to rewrite the middle term. So I have x squared minus 4x plus 5x minus 20. Okay, and now I got a group here, so group the first 2 terms, group the second 2 terms. So the 2 is along for the ride. He's just going to stay out in front the whole time. I look at this first group. I can factor out an x, and I'm left with x minus 4. I look at the second group, I can factor out a 5, and I'm left with x minus 4. And you'll notice, hey, x minus 4, that's good news. So my final factorization is going to be 2 parentheses x minus 4, and then remember I look at the coefficients, x and positive 5, so it's x plus 5, and so that would be the correct factorization here. All right, and again, we're just kind of plugging away here, nothing brand new, nothing unique. I'll do a couple more examples, and then I'm going to kind of leave it up to you guys to finish this up. So part E, again, by grouping, I don't see any shortcuts that we can use here. So I have 7 and 3, I should say negative 7 and positive 3. So I have negative 21. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to get that and add to get positive 20. 1 and 21. Right? And I got to get positive 20, so it should make sense that the 1's got to be negative. And so I use those two numbers to rewrite the middle term. So I have 3c squared minus 1c plus 21c minus 7. Group. If you want to change the plus a negative, you can. I look at the first two terms, I can pull out a c, so I'm left with 3c minus 1. Second term, I can pull out a 7, I'm left with 3c minus 1. Those line up, so I have 3c minus 1. And I have c plus 7. Okay. For part F there, I'm going to let you guys kind of roll with that, and I'm going to actually let you guys go ahead and finish up the rest of these notes on your own. I'll just give you a hint for number 5, or I'm sorry, for part F, you're going to want to factor out the greatest common factor first, and then look to finish that up. Okay. So again, identify patterns if possible. If not, then just use your factor by grouping. So finish these notes up for homework tonight. Bring them to class completed tomorrow. I may ask to see them first thing and give you credit, and we'll go from there. So any questions, have them ready, and we'll take those.